In today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the Tetra 3-gallon half moon tank, which is this tank in the background. I've had one of these for free, going on 4 years, so I feel like I should make a video explaining the pros and the cons of this tank, things that I do like and things I dislike, and overall, in the end, just summing it up all together, whether I do or do not recommend this tank. In the background of this video, we're going to have Eobard Thawne, which is my mom's betta. He's down here, so I don't know if you can see him. So he's going to be in the background of this video. He's quite shy, so he might not be swimming around the tank that much. But yeah, he's in one of these. And yeah, so on to the... So I am going to say this is a 3-gallon tank. And you're not going to want to put any fish other than a betta or shrimp in this tank. Don't try to put schooling fish in here or anything like that. For most schooling fish, the minimum tank size starts out at 10 gallons. And I'll do a whole video why small schooling fish can't be in smaller tanks later, but please do research into whatever fish you're getting and do not try to put schooling fish or anything besides a betta or shrimp in this tank, because it's not going to be good for them. And also, if you're planning on getting a betta, I do recommend a 5-gallon, but if you can't, 2.5 is the minimum, and this is a half-gallon above a 2.5-gallon, so you know, it works. I'm going to be starting off with the pros, and my first pro is the filter. The filter doesn't make that much flow, which is really good if you have bettas, because bettas go up to the surface of the water and that's how they breathe air. So it's very important that there's not too much flow. So it doesn't produce that much flow, and it is not loud. Honestly, it's called a whisper filter for a reason, but I still expected it to be kind of loud when I originally got it, but it really is not loud. See? So, however, I am going to say you are going to have to keep the water like up to the where the water comes out of the filter, because you don't, it's going to like make loud gargling sounds. It sounds awful. And another thing is it works well as the filter. You just have to change the cartridge, the filter cartridge, cartilage, every month. And my last pro for the filter is it's adjustable, so you can adjust the flow. My pro is the airstone, and the airstone is what produces the bubbles right here, and the airstone is adjustable. So I really like that. That's my pro for the airstone. So if you have bettas, you know, you can adjust it where it's not going to produce so many bubbles and mess with the surface of the water, because you don't want there to be a lot of flow at the surface of the water, which a lot of airstones tend to do that. So you can adjust it, and actually at the end of the video I'm going to be showing how you adjust it, because if you're getting this for a betta, it's really important to know how to adjust the airstone so it doesn't produce many bubbles. So that is a good thing about the airstone. My next pro is the size of the tank. A lot of the 2.5-gallon tanks I've seen, you can't really fit a heater and filter both in the tank, which in this tank you can do just fine, and it doesn't crowd the fish. We actually have the submergible Tetra 50-watt heater in here, which if you know anything about that heater, it's not a tiny heater, and it fits in here just fine. Another thing is you can fit a lot more decorations than what I originally thought, because most of the space is vertical, not horizontal, so you don't have that much space to work with, but for the space that you have with it, it honestly is really good. We have a lot of plants in here because he's a shy fish and he likes to hide a lot, and I was surprised to find out I could fit all 3 of those plastic plants in there, plus that one silk plant. So next pro is going to be the air pump. Now, I've heard people complain about the air pump because they're like, oh, it's too loud and stuff. Maybe it's because I've been keeping fish in my room for so long that I'm just used to the sound. To me, this is honestly one of the quieter pumps I've heard. And I know some people complain that it's loud, and I'm going to be quiet here for a few seconds so you can hear it. Really, to me, it's not that loud. So, it's to me, it's not loud. And it does work well. It does its job. So, you're going to want an air pump that does its job. Now, my next pro is going to be the kit itself. The kit comes with pretty much everything that you need except for the heater and the decorations and substrate and thermometer. It comes with the filter, it comes with the air stone, it comes with the tank, the lid, and all that stuff. So honestly, the kit is a pro. Now on to the cons. My first con is going to be the lights. If you've never seen this tank before, the lights are on the air stone. Kind of an odd place to put it, but they're on the air stone, and pretty much if you're going to keep live plants, you're going to have to invest in a different light. And the lights are colored too, so they're not meant for keeping plants, and they don't look that great in pictures either. I'm not going to show what the lights look like. I'm going to show pictures of what the lights on this tank look like, because of the next problem I have with the lights is the lights stress bettas out. Now, bettas are one of the few fish that can see in color, and with the color, see, the colors of the lights change, and I have found that to stress out my fish. I've had bettas fin nip and just bite their tail and stuff because they're stressed, and I've had them get sick because they are stressed from the lights. So if you do get this tank, please, I really do not recommend using the lights. The lights are awful, and that's something I think they should make different if they were to redesign this. My next con is going to be the air stone also. The air stone takes up a lot of space. Now, I know some kits have like the round shaped air stone. This one I have doesn't. It has a different shape, which I'll show here in a minute. And it just takes up a lot of space. I've heard people have the round one too. It takes up a lot of space. And it also takes like 5 tons of gravel to keep the thing down. It tries to float up so much. That's why there's so much gravel in this tank, is because I was trying to keep the air stone down. My next con is also going to be the size, and that's because it is only half a gallon above the minimum, which that's a good thing. That's above the bare minimum, but still, it's better to have a larger tank is what I'm trying to say. So it just is not a 5 gallon. And the next con is the airline tubing, and this is something I have found out since day one that I also hate. The airline tubing is so difficult to get attached to the filter. Right now, I have a sprained hand, and we were trying to set up this tank, and I was trying to put it together, and I ended up hurting my hand trying to get it together, and it's just, the airline tubing will not connect that well to the filter. I have found that the airline tubing that comes with this isn't too flexible, and it's not going to stretch over the place where you put it on the filter. So that is a con if you're like weak or something, or you're a smaller child. You're going to want to have your parents help you with that, because believe me, I still to this day have problems getting that on. And another thing with the airline tubing, and this I've also found out since day one, it likes to detach from the filter, and I'll just be over here and it'll be a whole week that's detached from my filter and I won't notice. And it comes detached from the filter and the air stone, which is another reason why you have to put 5 tons of gravel on it. And my next con and my last con is the price. This tank is roughly around $30 including tax. It's as much as a 5 gallon. Which, when I first found that out, I got super mad. because I could have gotten a 5-gallon instead of this like 3 years ago, but I thought 5 gallons were more expensive. Larger tank were more expensive, right? Apparently when it comes to smaller tanks, they're roughly about the same price as a 5-gallon. So pretty much if you can get this tank, you can get a 5-gallon, which is why I do recommend a 5-gallon if possible. But if you're low on space or you're in college, because I know some colleges have limits on tanks, it's like you can't have it above a 5-gallon, or you can't have it, it has to be like below a 5-gallon. So that is one of the things. And overall, what I think about this tank, I think it's a pretty good tank. If you're having to put a betta in a smaller tank, it's a good hospital tank, and I do think it's good for beginners. A lot of beginners cannot start out with a 5-gallon, especially if the beginners are like in their preteens or teens. A lot of times the parents just won't let them get a larger tank unless their parents are into the fish keeping hobby, because they don't see the point in it. And so, and a lot of beginners are going to have smaller tanks anyway, most beginners. So I think it's good for beginners that are just getting into the hobby, and it's a good hospital tank. And in my case, Metallica, he does not like larger tanks. I don't know what it is about him, but larger tanks stress him out. So I have to use this tank for him, and he seems to like it. He doesn't have a problem with it, but I've tried to put him in a 5-gallon, he fin nips, and I've tried to put him in a 10-gallon, he fin nips. So if your betta is like my betta, and you're gonna have to get a smaller tank because larger tanks stress them out for whatever reason, this is also a good tank. So overall, it is a good tank. So I actually forgot 2 cons, and one of those is, since it is a smaller tank, you are going to want to make sure you keep on top of water changes, because the smaller the tank, the more the ammonia and stuff builds up, and the quicker it builds up. So you're going to want to make sure you do not miss that much. Like, if you miss like one day that you're going to be doing a water change, you want to make sure you do it the very next day, because it does build up a lot faster. And you're going to want to take more water out. You're going to want to take about half of the water out, versus a 5-gallon where you're going to take out about 25% of the water. In this tank, you're going to want to take out about 50%. And the next thing I forgot, when you're adjusting the air stone, it's going to mess with the filter. So pretty much it's just going to be a bit of a mess until you get the whole thing situated, because when you're doing this, sometimes the filter flows. When you're adjusting the air stone, sometimes the air stone flows too much, and then the filter barely flows, and then sometimes the filter barely flows and the air stone, sometimes the filter flows a lot, but the air stone barely flows. It's just a whole mess, and he's kind of flaring over here. This is the first day that we've had him, but I've seen him flaring. So I just figured I should add those since I forgot them. Whoops. The lighting's kind of poor here. So I said I was going to show how you adjust the flow of the air pump and the flow of the filter. Use this connector valve, and pretty much it's just going to be a whole mess, like I mentioned with the cons, and you're going to want to turn it a bit. Sometimes when you turn it, it's going to cut off all flow to the air stone. Sometimes it's going to cut off all flow to the filter. And it's just a mess. I can't tell you what way to turn it, because it really doesn't matter. Because you turn it one way, it'll do one thing. Then you turn it the other way, and it'll do the same thing. Then you turn it the other way, and it's the opposite of what you want. And it's just, you're just going to have to mess around with it. But yeah. You see these little knobs, you're just going to want to adjust those. So